This was the limitation for the first. This was the limitation for the first scenario. Okay, now we have sorted out the scenario, and we have now taken the second scenario, right?
Yes, sir.
So in second scenario, there should be some improvement, but the problem still exists.
Any doctor can access any patient's information
All that.
which are enrolled in same hospital.
So now I am storing all this into my notepad plus all the scenarios. Okay. So this was your scenario number 1. What was that? Only one doctor has the data.
We can skip 1 to 1.
This was your scenario number 1. When data is stored on doctor's personal laptop. Okay. So disadvantage of this technique is, first is only one doctor has the data. 2 is, if other doctors had to investigate from start because they do not know the patient's medical history. As the patient is new for them. This was your disadvantage of scenario number 2. So to overcome that, then we have scenario 2. What is scenario 2? That Apollo installs a
server.
The hospital installs a centralized, right,
Yes, sir.
Centralized server.
server, and all the outpatient information is stored on this centralized server, correct? So now if he goes to the second doctor also, the second doctor will not ask him all these details again. So what is the advantage we get by centralized? That
Time saving and
time saving.
yes, sir. There's no need to ask
The
Same
more
thing
question.
again.
no need
Yes,
to
sir.
ask. Okay. The patient details are fetched on subsequent visits. What I will say, on subsequent visit, right? Because the first visit is subsequent visit. On subsequent visits, the patient details are fetched from the database on centralized server, correct?
Centralized server.
Okay. Now this was the advantage. Now what is the disadvantage of this? Disadvantage or limitation? If not disadvantage, you can say limitation, but let's say disadvantage. Disadvantage or limitation. First thing first, high cost. It is not cheap to install a server and maintain it. So this is high cost. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is in the cost matters, this is a bit high. Second, it is dependency on the internet now.
Yes.
So this is dependent on the infrastructure, right? On the intranet or internet. If it is within a single building, it is intranet. If it is across multiple buildings, then it is internet. So what if the internet is down?
In case of a server, there is no need to internet when we connect a PC to PC, PC to
Yeah.
PC.
You are considering both the examples.
Yes, sir.
If the hospital has a very big campus,
Hmm.
Yes.
and then it is not physically feasible to connect with a LAN cable or a MAN cable.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Like a
In that situation,
wireless cable, okay?
Okay.
So wired or wireless, whatever you can say. This is a wired infrastructure or wireless infrastructure. So what if the internet is down? Okay. This is a hospital, right?
Yes,
If
sir.
the surgery is going on and the doctor wants the information of the patient, that is he allergic to this medicine or not? And while doing the surgery, he wants that information. So he opens his iPad and tab, puts the patient's ID over there, and then on the tab it shows, okay, he's allergic to this medicine, so he will not inject that medicine, right?
yes, sir.
Now if the surgery is on and the Wi-Fi is down, now that is a very critical situation, right? He cannot wait for that surgery, Wi-Fi to be up, because this he has to be injected right now. So this we call it as a single point of failure. So if the internet is down, the entire system is down. So we have a
Yeah.
single point of
Failure.
failure because too much dependent on, okay, and you require skilled staff to store and fetch the data. Okay. So these are the disadvantages. Okay, one more very big disadvantage is, now see, now when you go to the hospital, what is the first few questions which the hospital staff will ask you? Those who have gone to the reception might know. Ataullah, I guess, just got his brother treated, so he might be knowing the very stereotype question which they ask at the reception when you admit the patient. What is that, Ataullah? Is he there?
Yes, I am.
So the very stereotype question which they ask at the reception when you're trying to admit the patient.
Yeah, the scenarios, what he is facing.
No, that is okay. That the doctor will ask. The reception will not ask that.
Okay, the names and
Yeah. Okay, that I
details.
got. That I got. Okay, that I got from the starting. What else? At the reception, they ask very common question. It's this.
Issue.
No, it's this.
Okay,
But sir,
cash.
issues.
They will ask this: cash or insurance,
Yes,
right or not?
yes,
Yes.
Very
Yes, sir.
common. Then you tell, okay, no, I am doing cash or I am doing insurance. Okay, if this person was doing an insurance, now this ID which has been generated by the centralized server, okay, this ID which has been generated 111222, right?
right,
This is restricted only to the use of Apollo Hospital, right?
right.
Now, if this person goes to the insurance company, if he goes to ICICI Lombard and tells, okay, I have got my treatment, and he says, okay, we need the case papers, we need all the papers from the hospital that you have been treated. So he says, okay, this is my ID 111222. Now, if ICICI, if he opens the software of ICICI, which software is he opening?
ICICI.
The doctors were opening the Apollo software, right?
Right.
Yes.
The doctors were using the Apollo software. So Apollo software knew what is 111222, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. This ID is generated by Apollo Hospital.
Open the ICICI software and he enters over there ID 111222. What he will get? 404.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Page
No
not
data,
found.
data found. Okay.
Yes, sir.
No record found for this because it is not a ICICI record, is it?
Yes, sir.
No.
The Apollo hospital record. So he will tell us, we go to the hospital and get us all the physical papers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Second scenario, if this person now goes to the medical, okay, the pharmacy, and he tells the pharmacist that please give me the medicine. He says, sir, which medicines you want? He says, please take my ID 111222. Now that pharmacist will open the pharmacy software, right?
Yes.
And now if he enters 111222, he says, sir, we don't have any record for that. Have you come before to our pharmacy that we have given you any ID? He says, no, I'm coming for the first time. He says, then this is not our ID. It is not found on our records, right? So this data which is existing is only existing in the
Apollo centralized server.
all the Apollo hospital buildings can access it. Okay. Or
Yes.
at the best case, you got treated in Apollo Pune and you go to Apollo Bangalore, they might understand it, right?
Yes, sir.
But it's a Apollo centralized server. But the other third party are not aware of this. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is a disadvantage.
Oh, true.
Yes.
Then now what do you do? So then comes the JWT style of. So now this also is a disadvantage. So now you have scenario 3, and this is what JWT prescribes. And this is, I guess, even the most of the hospitals also do it, I guess. This is how they operate. So now what happens is, whenever we go to a hospital, okay, you will see that there are 2 queues over there. Okay. Whenever you go to a hospital, you will see 2 queues. Lots of interns also work in the hospital. Those doctors who are just finishing their medical studies and they have to show some internship. So they go
Yes.
to the hospital. Have you seen such doctors in the hospital?
Yes.
You know, they are behind the main doctor, you know, assisting him with
Yeah.
all the checkup and all that stuff. You understand that this is the main doctor and these are all his interns, right? Because he's
They do
teaching them,
practice.
he's attending the patient and is also teaching them that if you see
Yes.
this symptom, this is the cause. If you see this symptom, this is the cause. So we have this queue. Let's say we call them as first visit queue. So all the patient was coming here for the which visit?
First visit.
Okay. And this is your for those who are existing patients, right? So now if the person he wants to visit a orthopedic and he is coming there to the hospital for the first time. So which queue will he stand in? Which queue
First visit. First
First,
visit.
sir.
you will come and stand in the first visit queue. So, you know, some doctors, you know, if you visit for the first time, they'll charge 500 rupees and subsequent visit, they will charge 300 rupees. Have you observed? Have you experienced such a thing? On the first visit, they will charge 500 rupees. And on the subsequent visits, they
To
will
create
charge
file. Yes.
because they have to create a file, right?
File and details. Yes.
Yes. So this first visit queue, now there will be some interns over there, some doctors who are just interns. Okay, they are not your specialized doctors or not experienced doctors. They're just interns. So these interns will ask the patient about all the generic stuff. So they will ask about the name, age, gender. They will also do a weight. Okay. They will check the height. They will also check the blood group, sugar level, all this BP. Okay. So BG and BP. So all these routine stuff they will check, right? Then they will also study past. They will ask if any past allergies you have, any hierarchical disease in your family. All this information they will ask. Family hierarchy, they will study everything. Okay. And then they will prepare a file. Then they will prepare a. Okay. So file is a term which was relatable 10 years ago. If I would teach 10 years ago, then I would say that they would get a file. Now, if I'm teaching in 2023, what they will do is that it has become much more sophisticated, and we are taking an example of a very big prominent hospital which has all the technology. So what they will do is they will get a QR code, and then they will paste this QR code on a credit card, debit card, sort of small card. You might have observed. Okay, so now they will not give a file. This is historical now. So they will take all the information of the patient and store it in a QR code. They'll create a QR code and they'll burn that QR code on a credit card or debit card type of card, size. And they will hand over this to the patient. Okay, this
Patient medical card.
Sir, please bring this card whenever you wish to come next time. Okay. And we have these all given all marketing tricks. Then we have branches all over Pune, and we have branches all over Maharashtra, and we have branches all over India, and even all over the world. You can go into any of our branch, Apollo Hospital branch, and you show this card, and then they will give you a discount also on the subsequent visit, and you will save time in standing in the first visit queue, right? So all this they will try to market their product. And this card will contain the QR, which has to be scanned. And once the QR is scanned, the person will get all this data, correct? So now he has got this. Second time when he comes, will he stand in this queue?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Existing card.
Existing.
He will directly go to the existing queue, and and they
Yes, sir.
always carry this QR code. Always carry this QR code. They might also say, okay, we will put this QR code in your mobile. You don't even have to carry the physical card, but the QR code should be there. Okay. So next time when he goes directly, he will go to the existing counter. And when any doctor comes, X comes or Y comes or Z comes, that is irrelevant. He will just present the QR code. Okay. And he cannot tamper with the QR code. If he tampers with the QR code, that is invalid then. Okay. Because that QR code is digitally signed. That QR code is. So while creating the QR code, they had created a string. Okay. They had given a secret string. Okay. So whatever was the secret string. So if it was Apollo Hospital, I'm just giving a random string, but that is, in the real world, if you see the secret, the real world, the secret is something very, very, very complex. You can't even, so it's just random keystrokes. This is the secret. So this secret is used
Encrypted code.
while digitally signing the QR code. So this secret, this QR code is an encrypted information, right? As a layman, we cannot see it. So this secret is used while encrypting all this information over there. So it is a digitally signed QR code. We cannot do any tampering. If it is tampered, that information is not relevant. So next time when he goes to the Dr. Z will say, may I have your QR code? He scans the QR code and Dr. Z will fetch up all the information of that person. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Correct? All that
Yes.
information he gets. Okay. And in that, now we know all the hospitals. At the receptionist, they have asked that have you taken insurance or not? He says, yes, I have taken insurance. So they have put the insurance ID also over there. Okay, he says which insurance you have taken, ICICI. Okay, then he will go there and he will get ICICI ID. Okay, so whenever you go to ICICI, just present this ID to them. That also is burnt in the QR code. Okay. And they say we have tie up with these pharmacies. We have tie up with MedPlus. We have tie up with this pharmacy, all the famous pharmacies. So if you go to that pharmacy, he will give you a discount also. And No need to carry any physical document. Just go and show this QR code. Okay. So they will say pharmacy 777, they will get an ID. So if you go to any of the pharmacies which are listed, which are tied up with us, and you just go and provide this code to them. So this all is in the QR code. You just have to show the QR code. That QR code automatically will scan for the pharmacy ID also. And the entire prescription, whatever the doctor has written, will reflect on the pharmacist window. And the entire medical treatment will reflect on the insurance ID window. So now things have become so complicated. Are you able to relate what I'm trying to say? Or is it something very alien? Guys,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
able to relate with the example what I'm trying to say?
Yes,
So
sir.
next time, there's only now one thing you have to carry, that is the QR code.
QR code. Yes.
Even your hospital will, and under will, and even the third party services like the insurance or the pharmacy will also understand that QR code. It is designed in such a way. So this QR code which is created, this is your JWT token in a short. Okay.
Okay.
But the only disadvantage you can say of this is that this is possession based. You have to possess it. If you go to the pharmacist, if you go to the doctor and say, I forgot the QR code, you said, so sorry, sir. So it has to be in your,
Mobile.
yeah, you can store it in the mobile, but you have to present it whenever asked for.
Yes.
You don't have to remember the code. Okay.
Mm.
You have to present it whenever it is asked for. So henceforth, there is no dependency of any third part, any server. Okay. And you can go to any of the services also and avail those services. The same QR code will work for them also, correct?
Yes, sir.
So this QR code, if you have understood, no, this QR code is your JWT. Okay. And this, how it works in the Spring Boot application, this first visit window is an endpoint, let's say /authenticate, which is that window
Authenticate.
/authenticate. Okay, now let me go and show you all the difference between the other things. Okay, so here, when I was using scenario number 1, okay, this was single system, single user application. What is this?
Single user application.
Single system and
Single user.
if you are having a
application.
single system and single user will only operate it, then you can go ahead with the scenario 1. Should not be a problem.
Yes.
Okay. But now if you have multiple users, okay, and multiple systems, then scenario 2 was used. And how they would maintain it, then they would maintain sessions and cookies. They would maintain it, and in the form of what?
Session and cookies.
And cookies. So in your scenario number 2, no, whenever you would go, it would store your session, and then it would return the session ID in the form of a cookie. And that cookie, when next time when you would see, HTTP by default is a stateless protocol. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by HTTP by default is a stateless protocol? What do I mean by that?
Stateless.
HTTP store data in on it.
HTTP
Cache memory, and then it is
the state. So this is the client and this is the server. Okay. So this is the client machine and this is the server machine. Okay. So client will first log in by providing the user ID and password. So this is the login page. So client has opened which page? Let's say client has opened HTTP
Login.
/ okay, ABC. What is the system name. Okay, so let's open Amazon. Okay, Amazon shopping, and then amazon.com/login, right?
Okay, sir.
And it has opened login.html. So this page will pop up, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he will enter the ID and password, and he will click on login. So when he will click on, he will send this detail to the server.
Yes. Server will check.
On the database.
Yes, sir.
We will have a database also. Server will send this to the database and check whether the ID password are correct. It will get the response, and it will then send the response to the user. Right?
Server to
Right, sir.
client. Yes, sir. Correct.
And then it will, if all is good, then it will open the homepage.html. What will it open?
Yes, sir.
Home page.
It will route to the amazon.com and it will go to homepage.html, correct?
Yes.
So homepage.html will greet that user.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to
So if the
Amazon.
user was Alice, if Alice had logged in with her credentials, so when I go to homepage it will say welcome Alice. So now this is my home page. So it will show what? Welcome Alice.
Yes, sir.
Oh, now Alice wants to shop. Okay. Alice has added one product to the cart. So when Alice is adding product to the cart, okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's say then Alice goes to shop.html. Okay. From homepage.html, she goes to
Shop.html.
so shop.html will again ask, who are you? Because by default, it doesn't remember the state. So every doctor will ask, who are you, right? So if Dr. X had done the treatment earlier and he goes to Dr. Y, Dr. Y doesn't know him. So he will ask, who are you? He will say, I'm Alice. I just logged in 5 minutes ago. You also greeted me. Oh, sorry, Alice. Okay, this is Alice. So again, you have to tell who you are. Now, when you go to the payment, he will again ask, who are you? Because he doesn't remember. Every request is considered as a fresh request. Every request
Consider as fresh request.
fresh request. It doesn't remember from where the previous request came from. It is stateless. It doesn't remember the state of the previous request. Every request will be considered as a fresh request. So now when he goes to shop, he will again ask, who is shopping? He will then again say, I am Alice who is shopping. Okay, then now when he goes to payment, he will say, who's paying? Again, you have to tell, okay, Alice is paying. Because it is not remembering the state of that user. Okay. So these were, let's say, the 4 doctors which were there, X, Y, Z. So when we went to Dr. X, Dr. Y would also ask, who are you? He says, I came to Dr. X last time and he had treated me. He says, okay, but I don't know who Dr. X is and what treatment he has done. So I'll have to again do a fresh checkup. Then again, he will do a fresh authentication. Then now if you go to Dr. Z, he will say, who are you? Because I don't remember you. So for that case, what they have done is they have invented something called as session and cookie. So whenever Alice would log in, a session ID would be created. What would be created? Session ID with
Created.
111, a unique session ID will be created. And with every response, this session ID would be sent back to the client. Okay. And this would then store in a cookie on the client machine. So where would the session ID store? On the
Cookie on the client machine.
And when the next request would go, this cookie would go. The server would open the cookie and it would say, okay, session ID 111222. Okay, well, means Alice has sent the request. So they would not ask every time, who are you? Who are you? They would maintain the state by using session and cookies. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
So this is what the previous applications, okay, before Spring Boot, would do how maintain the state. So once the user would log in, they would get a session ID with that user, put his details over there, his username, password, what date did he log in, because the session has a expiry time. So if in 15 minutes you don't shop anything, you are logged out. You've been to IRCTC website?
Yes, sir.
So in
Indian Railway.
IRCTC,
Yes.
if in 10-15 minutes you don't do any ticket booking, you are automatically logged out.
Logged out.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
It's load
Yes,
on the
sir.
server. So they will put the, it's called as IAT, I guess. Okay, what time this was created. Okay, issue time, issued at time. What is this?
Issue at time.
So this session ID was issued at what time? So issue time. So from that time it would count, it would calculate 15 minutes. So if it was issued at 9 a.m. okay, and once the response came at 9 a.m. the cookie got set on the browser. Now if you hit the shop, if you hit the shop button at 9:16, what will it tell you? Session
It will
expired.
logged out.
Session
Session
expired.
out, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And if you hit the shop button at 9:14, it will take you to the shopping page without asking who you are, because it
Yes,
is fetching the information from the session ID, correct?
correct, sir.
So all this was there before. So now the issue was, big application, no, they don't rely on one single server. Big application, no, like Amazon and those who have a lot of customers hitting at the same time. Okay, so they do not rely. So if millions of customers are hitting, so if there's a great Indian sale on Flipkart, how many people do you think will log in simultaneously?
Millions of people.
Yes, because it is there only for 24 hours, right? Or if a new product is being launched and they have told we have an inaugural offer,
Hmm.
so within seconds that product is sold out. Do you all know?
Yes, sir.
Imagine the traffic on that server. So if the traffic on the server increases, no, so they do not have one single server. So now what the designers do is they have multiple servers, and then they route the request depending on the server which has low users. So let's say if
Okay.
server number 1 can handle 1000 users. Okay, each server can handle 1000 users, the capacity. 1000 users can capacity. So now if server number 1 has only 950 users currently logged in, so they have a load balancer. The request will come to the, where will the request come to? The
Load balancer.
Load balancer.
load balancer. And the load balancer will check now which server has the capacity to fulfill this request. So now server B are already full, 1000 and 1000 are already there on here. So to whom will he send that request to?
Server A.
Server A will take that request and fulfill it. Okay. So the session ID got created on which server? The session ID got created on which server? That who has logged in?
Server A.
Server A. So session ID has 111222. And then it sends the response back, correct? And it
Yes.
sends the response to the client.
Client.
Okay, so this happened at 9 a.m. This happened at
9 a.m.
10 a.m. And the cookie got set by which session ID? The cookie
Triple one.
set by
Triple
which
one.
session
Triple
ID?
two.
Session ID has 111222. Okay.
222. Yes, sir.
Now this has a validity of 15 minutes, correct?
Yes.
So now at 9:02, this client sends us that I want to do the shopping page. Okay, it has to hit the shopping URL. It goes to the load balancer, correct?
Yes, sir.
So now in that 2 minutes, let's say server number 1 was full, correct?
Okay.
Server number 1 was full, because it is the load balancer who will randomly select any server, right? So we cannot guarantee that to which server we just want our task to be completed, right?
Yes, sir.
We're not interested in which server is doing our task. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
If you go to a hotel and we order a food, if the waiter brings the food, we are least concerned if waiter X brings or waiter Y brings or waiter Z brings, right?
Yes, sir.
We want our food on the table. So
Yes.
now this time it routed it to where? Server Z.
Z. Okay.
And this server Z, now when it opens the cookie, he said, I don't know who you are.
Yes.
This was the problem with this session and cookie. Are you getting? I'm trying to show you the limitation of session and cookies.
Oh,
Why
yes, sir.
every token was preferred over them. So if there is an existing mechanism in place, why to reinvent the wheel? So if we had authorization task completed by using session and cookies, why was the need for token? Right? So this
Yes, sir.
was the disadvantage of your session and cookies. Now the load balancer routed the request to the servers. This is server XYZ, right? 3 servers are there.
X, Y, Z. Okay.
The first request came to X.
Hmm.
Second server request is coming to Y. And
Y.
third will go to Z. And like this, they have hundreds of servers depending on the scale of the application. So now when it goes to route to server Z and server Z open the session ID 123 will say, I don't know. Yes? Yes or no? Does he remember
Yes.
111222 server Z?
Yes, sir.
No. How will server Z remember? This ID was created on server X. This ID of 111222 was created on server X. So server X will remember. Now, if that request is routed to server Z, does server Z remember the ID 111222?
No.
No. So this is the disadvantage of session and cookie. So now then they also added some extra feature over here. Then they added a common cache. Okay, they added this common cache. And this was a scenario 2, remember? So all the doctors centralized server.
So technically, who work as a load balancer, sir?
You have to configure those servers. That is the team of the higher end developers.
Technically, sir.
We there are many tools which we have to configure. With that, you can apply the load balancing. That is just a configuration part and done by the high-end experienced developers. So this is just a term that your request goes to a load balancer. Load balancer will route the request to any of the processing servers. So now what they did is, like we had in scenario number 2, that we have a centralized server install and any doctor can fetch from the centralized server. So they have a common cache. So all these IDs are not stored in a particular server. It is stored in a where?
Cache.
Cache. Okay. And all the servers are linked to that cache. All the servers are
Link to that cache.
to that cache. All the servers linked to that cache. So, but this is an extra overhead, right? Extra expenses of maintaining the cache. And what if this server on which the cache is there, the server is down, then what if the internet is down? So even though they upgraded this, but still it had many limitations. And this was for the Apollo hospital servers, okay? Now, what about the servers? Though this cache, this common cache was only linked to the Apollo hospital servers. What about the servers who are running the pharmacy software? And what about the server who are running the insurance software? Do they have access to this common cache? So still by
No.
introducing the common cache also, problem was not solved. So they had this concept in mind of introducing a JWT token. So token is, you have to pass that token. So how token works is, so first visit and subsequent visit, right? First visit and subsequent visit. So while first visit, you hit the service, that endpoint which will create the token, okay? So we call it as the auth service. Which service? So when the customer comes for the first time, he will access which endpoint? Let's say I call it as authenticate. I call it as the authenticate endpoint. And to the authenticate endpoint, we have to pass the username and password. Okay, so we pass a request body having the username. Okay, and we pass the password. So this is the object which we passed to the authenticate endpoint. So then we can make a class of this. Okay, so we can call this as a request body class. So what are the attributes of the request body class?
Username and password.
Username and password.
What type? String, right?
Yes, sir.
String, yes.
And the first time we will hit the request to the authenticate. Okay, so when the authenticate service is there, this will create the token for us. This will create the, what will this create? The JWT, Java Web Token. And in the web token, it will put the details what we have passed over here. So who is the username?
Alice.
And password.
Alice 123. First
And
letter
you
capital.
can put any information you want in the token. Like you can have multiple attributes to the token. This is called as the payload of the token. What is this called as?
Payload.
Payload. So you can put n number of info. So if you want to put, you can put all this information what we had discussed over here. So what all this stuff you can put in the token. If you can put anything in the payload, whatever you wish to. So what all did it put? The username and password. Along with that, it also put this in the payload. Okay.
The benefit of load the payload, sir.
This is the information which is contained in the token. So your QR code will have some information, no? So when you
Okay.
scan a QR code on Google Pay, that QR code contains the shop's name, the shop's account details. So directly, you don't have to ask the shopkeeper, what is your shop name, what is your account number, what is IFSC code. Directly, you scan the QR code, you get all that information in Google Pay.
Okay.
You just have to enter the money you want to pay. So like this, in the token, you can put n number of details. You can prepare your own token. Along with that, it will also give you the time at which it was issued. This is called as what? IAT. And you can also put the expiry time. Okay. Again, it is EXP, something like that. So you can put that. Okay. So this is a string. Okay. So this is a long value. I will explain this. Okay. So you know what this time is? This time is the number of seconds which have passed. Okay, so if it is 356 and if I give over here 416, what is the difference between these two numbers? Who can tell me?
Digits.
What is the difference between these two numbers?
So first one is issue at time and
My question
other
is,
one.
what is the difference if I do a subtraction? If I do a subtraction between IAT and EXP, what is the output? If I do a subtraction, IAT minus EXP on the calculator, what is the output?
341 should be in minus.
Here they are same.
Same, yes.
Yes, sir.
416
Last
minus
three
350.
digit is the difference, 356
Okay,
and
okay.
416. The 416 minus 356.
Let me adjust it for you all.
Okay.
Now,
Then now
60.
16.
60 difference.
60, right? So,
Yes.
so what this IAT, this digit indicates, this digit indicates the number of seconds which have expired since
Session it start now.
Jan 1970. Since 1970, 1st Jan, how many seconds have elapsed is this value. Okay. And okay, I should have done. Okay, I should have done this. The expiry will always be greater than the issue, right? So how many seconds have passed since 1st Jan 1970? That is the number which is shown over there in a long format. And the second number is, now I've added how much digits to that? 60, right? So what is the
Yes.
expiry of this? What is the validity of this token? 60 seconds.
Yes, sir.
So how
Yes,
much? 1 minute. So this token
1
will expire in.
correct. 1 minute.
If I want this token to be there for 10 minutes, then
To 60 multiplied 10 is just
I will add
600
how much
seconds.
to it? 600 to it, right?
Yes, sir.
600. Yeah.
Plus 600. 2400 plus 600, how much? 3000. So I'll set the expiry as 3000. So now my token is valid for how many seconds? 600 seconds, right? Which is for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, this token is valid, then it will expire. So that QR code which is given by the bank, by the hospital, will have a validity, right? So like how your credit card, debit card. If you see your credit card, debit card, they have a validity, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Put over there, expiring in 3/27 means what? This card
Yes, sir.
in March 2027, right?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
March 27.
Similarly, you can put
Here also.
an expiry to your token when the token will expire. But after that, that token will become irrelevant. So in the testing terms, no, when you're testing the API with the token, they give a very long expiry term, 1 year expiry term. So unnecessarily the token will not expire because we're just testing the application. So if I give a token, if I'm testing the application, the token is expiring in every 10 minutes, I have to create a new token every time, right? So we have a token with a very long validity while testing. So this all content is put, whatever you want to put in the token, you can put. I have seen tokens having 15 and 20 and 30 attributes. And they are small token who just have 2-3 attributes. Username, they don't give the password over here, okay? We don't put the password in the token. Security wise, password should not be there. 1 second, guys. So this is the most important part of the token. There are 3 parts to a token. Okay. Token has 3 parts. One is the header. Header is the encrypt. So this information will be put in the QR code. And the QR code looks something like this, correct? The QR
Yes.
something like this, no? Some
Yes, sir.
some checks like the chessboard. So this information will not visible to the user. It will be encrypted. So
Encrypted.
first
Yeah.
part of that is called as a header. It's called as what?
Header.
The header will have the encoding standards. What will it have?
Encoding standard.
What encoding rules we are using. Okay. So whatever algorithm will be there, it will use that encoding. And then using this header and this payload. What is this? Payload, right? This what I have mentioned over. This is which part of the token?
Yes.
This information is there in which part of the token? This all this content. It's in the payload part. Which part?
Payload part. Yeah.
So now how many parts of the token do you know right now? 2 parts. Which are they? The payload and the header. What is the header? Header is the encoding standard which will be used, the encoding algorithm which will be used to encrypt this information. That will be stored in the header. And the entire information what we want in the token, that will be stored in the
Payload.
payload. Okay, so 2 things we have known. So, okay, so this is the payload. We put it in red color so that you'll understand it. So this is the payload. This is the part header. And now what? This token. And then we have a secret key to sign this. Okay. So to sign this, we have a secret key in our application. That is normally a string. Okay, and you can have any secret key what you want to give. This secret key will be used to sign this token. So this will be in our application. So this is the secret key is there in the application. You can give it even a simple name if you want. You can just give any simple name also. Okay. You can just give SCS secret. And normally in the real world, these secrets are kept on different third-party applications. Okay. So you have lots of third-party applications also which will hold all the credentials. So you never display the credential like this in the application. They are on third-party softwares. Okay, there's the software called as JFrog. So this JFrog software has all. So you store all the secrets from there, and then you fetch that secret from the JFrog. So how many components have we studied of the token theoretically right now? Yes. Tell me.
First is the payload.
That is the most important. That is the
Most important.
because it contains all the information which is there in the token, right?
Yes, sir.
The information of the token is there in the
Sorry, your voice is not coming. Information of token.
information which is there in the token is put where? In what part of the token?
Payload, no?
Payload.
Yes, sir.
And then to encrypt this information,
To put this information into header, sir.
that is the header. Header will have the encoding algorithm.
Yes, sir.
And then you have a secret key.
Secret key.
Now, depending on the payload and the header and using the secret key, the third component is created, which is called as the signature. This is called as the
Signature.
signature. The signature is the summation of the payload plus the
Header plus secret.
secret. Okay, using the secret, it will form the signature. So all
Okay.
three things come together and form the signature. The signature has to be valid. So now if I change anything in the payload, so now if I say over here age equals to 21,
Okay.
And I create the token. Token is a string. Token is a,
String.
so that is the response body. So what is the response body? Authenticate function I'm talking about. This authenticate function will take input as authenticate
String.
endpoint will take input as
String.
request body.
Request.
Okay.
Will take input as user ID and password, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it will give you response as JWT token. What will it give you response as? That is a string. So the response of that, let's say we call as a response body. So response of this will be a, so if you make a class response body, simple, only it will return only one type of information, that is the string JWT token. So the JWT token is a string data type. Okay, whatever you want to give. JWT token, but the T itself is a token. So to the authenticate function, what is the input? Username and password.
Username and password. Yes.
And what is the output of that? The token. And token is a string. Token is a
Yes.
it's an alphanumeric string. So now if I give age as 21, the token which it generates me, let's say this is the token it generates me. Okay, it's alphanumeric. Now if I change the age to 22, then this token will change because the signature is made from the payload plus the header. You change the payload, the token will change.
Yes.
A site, I'll just show you the site directly. The token site. You see my web browser.
Yes.
Okay, so let me show you JWT token. You see this jw.io debugger.
Yes. JW.io. JSON web.
Just scroll below. So this is the token. Okay, so this is the header. So what is the algorithm standard we are using?
Request body.
Which is the here. My question is the algorithm we are using HS256, right?
Yes.
So this is the header. And the middle part is the payload. So what is the payload?
Information.
The subscriber, whatever this is, and issued at.
Issued at. Yes.
And now if I change, see, and it is, so the token, no, okay, I did not write the token correctly for you all. So this token is into three parts. So there's a full stop over here and full stop over here. So of these three parts, this is the header. This is the, are you able to see my paint screen?
Yes, sir.
The token is split into three parts. Okay, let
Three
me
parts.
color code it for you all. Green, blue, and brown. So this green part is called as the
Request.
header.
Header.
The blue part is called as the payload.
Payload.
And this brown part is called as the signature.
Secret.
So three things, no, not secret, signature.
Okay.
Signature.
It is used to sign the payload and it creates a signature out of that. Signature is a mixture of payload and your header. If you come here, you come in to the JWT. You see over here, this is the red part. So what is this?
Header.
Header. This, what is this? Purple part is your
Payload.
payload.
And last one is a signature for Skype.
And if this is your this is your JWT token. So you have to provide this. This is the alphanumeric string. Okay. And now if I change anything over here, so now if I change this John Doe to, if I put over there Alice, see, did you see the
Okay.
token change?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. It's changing.
If I now put whatever information I want to put, okay? If I say age 23, comma. So, and your age is double quotes over here, right? There is 2 colons.
2 colon.
Now this is
Yes,
your,
sir.
and now you can keep on adding whatever key value pairs you want in the token. Okay, so if I put age, then I put weight as, so you see the token is changing,
Yes, sir.
and depending on that, the signature
Yes.
also change. Signature also will, because signature is a mixture of the payload with the header.
Yes.
You change the
Yes.
payload, sign will also change. Now if I add after the weight, if I add blood group, you see the signature is changing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, A is a string.
String.
So you can put whatever stuff in the payload, whatever you want to. And this is issued at this time. So this time indicates 18 Jan 2018. You see? So if I just go and search for the long time value, the time stamp value in long string. So what are the time? So if I go and change this to, so what is this time? This long value stating time is Thursday, Jan 18, 2018. Now this is a 6-year-old, 5-year-old token. So if I now change this 90, let's change this to 77777. So this will become 1974. Okay, I should have gone one more. I have to put one more digit. Now this is what? Wednesday, Jan 24. If I put one more 7 then. This is August 25, 2450. We have gone ahead in time. Okay, so if I just change this to 516, if I make it 789 now, this is your Jan 1 of 2020.
27.
So if I make it as 678, now 2023 November 1. Okay, getting it? So like this, you can put that issued at time in a long value. This is just the this they have put it manually. We can convert our time and put it. And this is your signature. This is your encoded header plus the payload plus the secret. Okay. So like this, you will get the token. So whenever you call the authenticate service will create the token for you and you return the token back.
Sir, how we set IAT time?
IIT time we can set from the time object, date time object in Java. We can convert that into a long value and set it. We'll do that practically.
Okay.
So this authenticate service has given the token. Now, once you have got the token back, now for subsequent request, no need to go to the first visit window, right? So your authenticate endpoint was your first visit window. Now for the second visit, will you call the authenticate? For the second visit, will you call the authenticate?
No.
Or it has given you the token. So now for
Yes,
second, you directly pass the token to the endpoint. And the
Yes.
token has the username. It will go and check whether this username exists. Okay. And it will authenticate that user and it will help you allow the access the endpoint. So that is what the token is used for. So let me draw it with a diagram and show you. Okay, so this is the client. It calls which service first? Which service is it calling? The authenticate. So it will pass the, what will it pass to it? The user ID and password. So the authenticate service will contact the database and will do DAO authentication and will check whether this user ID and password is correct or not. Once it comes to the user ID password is correct, what does the authenticate service do? Yes. Once it comes to that, once the authentication is successful, what will the authenticate service do? It will create a token. It will create a token. So once it has got that authentication is successful, it will create a token that will return the token to the client. Now the client has a token, and that token has all the information about the client. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. All.
So now in the subsequent visit, so now if the client wants to do get all the teachers. So now next it will directly call the endpoints. Next it will call the controller endpoints. It will not go to the authenticate service again. Okay. So whatever controller endpoints are there, second time it will not go to the authenticate service. This is only for the first visit. This you can simulate as your first visit. For subsequent visits, it will not go to that window. It will come here, direct to the controller endpoints. And whichever endpoint it wants to access, okay, if it is authorized to access that endpoint, it will be allowed. If it is not authorized to access, it will not be allowed. So now whether this is server A, whether it is Apollo server, or whether it is a pharmacy server, or whether it is the insurance server, no need to worry, because all the information is there in the token. Are you all getting what I'm trying to show? So even if it is the insurance server, it doesn't have to remember the state. It has to just open the token, and in the token they will get the insurance ID, and based on that it can carry out the insurance activities. And even if it is the pharmacy server, it will open the token, and that is the attribute called as pharmacy ID, and based on that it will fetch the prescription. Who has understood at least an idea as to what is the purpose of using the JWT token? At least theoretically. So like this. So this is called as microservices. When you have different servers running, and each server is running on having a different task. Okay. So the Apollo server might use Java Spring Boot for processing, and backend might be used MySQL, and it might be on port number 8083. So not necessarily insurance server also will use this technology. Insurance server is maybe configured in Python, and using database as Postgres, and maybe on port number 8084. And your pharmacy software is maybe in C#. And using backend as SQL server, running on port number 8085. So they might be different applications running on different servers, having different technologies, but the token is mutual. The JWT token is a uniform standard accessed by all the technologies. So even if they are different servers, the token will still be identified and will be accessed. So only for the first time you have to generate the token by the authenticate server, which will authenticate the user first. It will first authenticate the user, that whether it is a legal user or not. So it will connect to the database. And once the user is authenticated,
It will directly access endpoint.
then the token will be generated.
Yes.
Authenticate the user first, and then you will, once it gets the response, then it will generate the token.
Okay.
And then generate the token, and in the token put everything of the user. And then once the token is there, then you can access any of the services. They will just open the token and check whether it is expired or not. If it is not expired, then that token is valid and your task will carry on. So you have logged in with Alice. So Alice data is mentioned in the token. So session is maintained. For Alice, the username is mentioned in the token, right? So whenever I pass the username, so every user know that this is Alice who is sending the request. They will fetch from the token. So session is maintained. So even though we are not different application, but that application also knows that the username is Alice, and it can open the claims and read the payload. Okay. And we can open the token and read the payload. So all the information will be accessible to the insurance server and the pharmacy server also. Who has understood the rough idea as to what is the advantage of using a token? Who can summarize this for us? Anyone? Yes, Amir. Can you summarize this understanding till now? Whatever we have done till now, all this from the start. So today I will not take the programming example. I just will take the theoretical example to understand what is token.
Yes, sir.
Can you just summarize this from the start as to what you have understood? What is session cookies and what was the limitation of session cookies, and what advantage does token bring?
Yes, sir. Sir, we are using token for authentication.
Authorization.
Authorization now.
Token will be generated after authentication.
Yes. After. Yes, sir. Authorization.
Token will be generated after
Author.
once you're authenticated.
Once you're then token will generate. Yes, sir.
You see this diagram. What is this diagram doing? Taking a user ID and password. Send
Yes.
to the database.
Yes, sir.
And once
Then
that
token
user is
will
authenticated,
generate.
and then generate the token. And
Yes.
I send the token to the controller endpoints, and then
Endpoints.
the controller endpoints will allow whether Alice is able to access the endpoint or not. That is called as authorization, right?
Yes, sir. Correct.
So the insurance server will allow Alice or not. That is authorization, whether Alice is authorized to access this.
Yes.
So now tell me, yes, tell me from scratch, whatever you understood.
After that, sir, we have. There is some, sir, advantages and disadvantages of JWT token.
This is available token. This is token starts in scenario number 3. Token started in scenario number 3. This was all the pre-era of before the token. what was happening. So what was the situation before the token?
We are using the data in, sir, in scenario number 1, we have seen we are using data to store.
Passing the token, you have to pass the token in the header. You have to pass the token in the, request body.
Yes, sir.
So similarly, we have request header also. What we have?
Request header.
Request header. So in that request header, the key is authorization. Which key?
Authorization.
The Z, with a Z, and the value would be right over there, bearer, right? Bearer,
Bearer.
and give us
Yes.
space,
Limitation.
then paste the token. Whatever is the token, so you have to paste the token. So in the request header, give the key as authorization and value as bearer, space the token name. So for all the subsequent requests, you will always pass the token in the header, because now the controller will understand the user from the token, not from the login ID and password. Okay, so now next time we will just scan the QR code and we will fetch all the data of the user. The user need not go to the first visit window every time. So once authenticated, the token is there. Now for subsequent request, just pass the token. Just pass the token to the controllers of any server which you want to, any service which you want to access. You have to put the token in the header as a key, as authorization, and value as the bearer, space the name of the token. Understood this?
Yes, sir.
So we'll do this practically on Monday. Okay, so go through the recording once again. Try to understand from the theoretical what you can understand, and then which will help us understanding the program when we do the
Map
coding.
based, no, sir. Map based key and values.
Hmm?
Key
Yes,
and values. Map based now working.
it's map based. All are map based. All key value. Payload is map based total. Okay, then I'll see you all on Monday, and we'll try to finish this topic also.
Okay, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Assalam alaikum.